I don't like sand. It's coarse and rough and irritating, and it gets everywhere.
Bom, flaky, gooey, toaster strudel.
Seems like everywhere I look, people are enjoying knives.
This thing rules. The thing rules.
Oh, hey, what's up? I'm Brian Altano.
And I'm Max Scoville.
This is a show where we discuss something we love,
Unpack why we love it,
explain where it came from,
try to remember our first impressions of it,
share our weird stories about it.
maybe learn something new about it along the way.
But first and foremost, we're here to celebrate the fact that this thing rules. Hey everyone, it's Brian and Max, and we are tired.
We're so tired.
We're very tired. We flew back from a shoot in Los Angeles yesterday, which was very fun, and we'll get to show it to you soon. And our flights, which are like 50 minutes, got delayed like 7 times. And so we had a couple of big beers at the airport, and we're like, you know what? Let's do an episode tomorrow just on 3 completely disconnected things and just have some fun with it. So that's what we're going to do. So, Max, you have chosen 3 topics.
Yes.
That I don't think anyone has ever said in Synchronicity before, but let's hear them.
We're going to do pocket knives
Okay.
and sandcastles
Okay.
and breakfast pastries.
I want to point out that these things don't really interact with each other well in general. You could cut a breakfast pastry with a pocket knife, and I guess you could. I don't know what you would do to a sandcastle, but sandcastles and pastries aren't good.
What do you want to start with? Which do you think is the best of these things, Brian?
My favorite of these things?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm pretty cool on all these things actually. I like them all. I guess we'll start with sandcastles.
Sure. Yeah, sandcastles. They're fun. I love to build the sandcastles. I was just building sandcastles with my kid a couple weeks ago. Mm-hmm. Went to the beach, and like, I don't know, the water in California, depending where you go, generally pretty cold. I feel like the sunny California Pacific Ocean thing is sort of a kind of misleading, especially up north where it's you don't really want to go splash around. So sandcastle building is a good kind of beach pastime.
We live in the Bay Area, and that sounds fun. And it's like, whoa, you're on the Bay. You must go swimming all the time. And you're like, well, not really. We have like basically most of the Bay Area is centered around like some bodies of water that are freezing cold or full of pollution and like grime. And then there's like, we don't have lakes. We have like reservoirs that you're not allowed to go in. So
Yeah.
party.
I don't like to build sandcastles at lakes. I don't know why. I feel like
Because
beach
that's not sand.
is-
That's fucking dirt.
Yeah. Sometimes you get like sandy beaches at lakes. But I mean, I grew up in Connecticut where like not on the coast when we would go to the lake all the time, and like I didn't do any sandcastle stuff there.
No,
I was
you
also
can't.
like 12, and I feel like that's not when you build those things. Like you do it as like a little kid, and then as like a grown up maybe with a kid.
Yeah. I think I take my kid to the beach a lot, as often as I can for somebody that lives in a place that has cold beaches. But we usually get it down in the car, and we drive down to Santa Barbara, which has really nice, warm, beautiful beaches. And the sand there is interesting. The water, I think there was like an oil spill or something at some point in human history, so it's occasionally weird. But the beaches there are great, and we always bring, since we're not flying there, we bring like this huge bag of sand toys, and they have all the shit that you within 30 seconds realize you don't need, which is like there's like like a rolling pin or whatever. There's this like the thing that's just like a scraper,
Dude, like
know?
the small rake.
Yeah, the small rake.
What is that for?
I have no idea what this
Like I think you can theoretically make like sort of Zen garden patterns with it, but what child wants to do that?
Nobody wants that.
That one doesn't make any sense. You need a good shovel, and then you need various mold shaped things
and buckets. And yeah, but there's so I feel like when we were kids, at some point the sandcastle shaped molds just appeared. Like I feel like for a while everyone just had like little buckets, and then somebody someday was just like, hey, instead of the kids making them themselves, what if they just put the wet sand in the bucket and then flipped it upside down, and all of a sudden you had a sandcastle. So my kid has one of those, but then I also try to make sure that she makes other things around it. And the best thing to do with that is you build the little sandcastle, right? So you get a couple of towers, and you have a couple of things in between. Then you dig a hole in the front of it to replicate the doorway. And then you dig a hole around it. So you make a moat, and then you can. The really fun thing is you make a line from there all the way to the sea. right? Or the lake or whatever. And then you start taking buckets of water and you make the shitty river that, you know?
Yeah.
And then when you're digging in there, there's always those, what are those guys? The little fuckers, those little things that they crawl out. They're like
Crabs?
no, they're not crabs. They're like, I forget what they're called.
Sand fleas?
I think that they're like
Worms? What are you talking about?
they're kind of like worms and
What are
crabs.
you talking about? What is this animal? I've never seen
They're
this
like
before.
they're like white or clear, and they sort of look like they're like half the size of a peanut shell. I feel insane right now.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
There are people listening to
this
this show right now, and they're screaming in their
some
car.
kind of larva. I don't.
It's sort of like a larva. I don't know if you can eat them.
You can eat anything. It just might make you sick.
You can eat most stuff that you find at the beach.
I don't think that's true, but I'll get back to you on that one. No,
But yeah, you got to get a good moat.
You got to do the moat and the tunnel. The tunnel's always
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there's a sort of universal thrill there and again, it's one of those things that doesn't. It sounds really stupid, but doing it is just really pleasing. Like it's really just like a fun thing to do. And then you know what I always do? I like to do the drip castles. You know.
Yeah.
Where it looks like Geonosis, you know, it's just like these little blobby, you know, make these little weird blobby spires. And
There's the thing that happens a lot too that's the opposite of a sandcastle that boys love to work on, and that's big fucking hole.
Big fucking hole is great. It is really the opposite of sandcastle.
Yeah.
I love how sometimes sandcastle in the process of trying to acquire the sand, you go, oh wait, I want to make a hole, and you just dig a giant hole next to a sandcastle.
When we were kids, this is not a sand or a castle at all, but when we were kids, I had this idea to build this thing in our backyard called the underground fort. And we I never told you about this?
No.
Yeah, so I got my two brothers, I gave them all shovels and jobs, and I think we had some friends over, and we just started fucking digging, and we built this like 4-foot deep hole in the corner of my parents' backyard. And it was like basically like 4 feet deep and like 6 feet wide by 6 feet wide. And we went in there and we built like shelves and stuff like that, so you could put toys. And we put like a old blanket on the ground, and we put a bunch of boards over it.
You made a dugout?
Yeah, we made a dugout. So we put boards over it, and then over that, my brother had this like, it was sort of like one of those like plastic playhouses. And we had one of those things. We put it on top of that, and then there was like a false bottom underneath a chair in there, and you could pick it up and hop down there and just hang out. And like after a while, we realized like it's not very fun to hang out in a hole, but also like if it's hot in the summer, it was in the shade and it's nice and cold down there. So we would go down there with like snacks and drinks and like flashlights and just like tell ghost stories and play with action figures and shit like that.
Dude,
it was
that's
just a
awesome.
fucking hole. Yeah.
That sounds so good. That sounds like a good time.
Yeah, it was great. And we were like, you know, if bad guys ever come, we could hang out here. Like if like a Red Dawn situation happened, I guess we could be like, we're going in the hole, the underground fort.
I had the more upscale version of that, which was some house in my neighbor. I don't even know who lived it. Somebody's house was like up against this mountain, and someone knew about this. I don't like, some random friend of mine was like, we got to go to the bomb shelter. And I was like, what? And there was a bomb shelter that was just like dug into the side of the mountain. And you know, it was like, I don't even know what it was. I might not have been a bomb shelter, but basically it was it was concrete. And it had a big, like a hole on top, like a manhole or whatever. And there was no door or anything on it. Like it wasn't like a fallout vault, but you could like hop down into it, and like we would go up there and hang out in a hole. Like it was just like one of those stupid like little boy things. And like, you know, admittedly there was reasons we would do that. Like we would go to the video store and get a bunch of like gummy worms, and we're like, we're going to go eat these where no one will see us doing it. And like, I don't know, we have like enough autonomy that we can buy our own candy. No one's going to stop us for eating candy in the street. But we would also find it. There was a freezer bag that had a Playboy magazine that somebody had left up there, you know, to keep it dry. And it was like,
that's disgusting.
Yeah, it would get like condensation on it, because like the whole point was, I guess, to keep it dry, but it would get someone to like not seal it all the way, and so you'd go up there and it'd be all like fogged up from the inside, and you're like, wow, this is steamy literature here. But yeah, that was a fun hole to hang out in. I think digging your own hole is even better. That sounds great. I would love to do that.
Yeah, I've been watching you dig your own hole for the last.
Hey, Dig Your Own Hole is a great Chemical Brothers album, man. I don't know what to tell you.
That is true. No, so like, one of the fun things to do with sandcastles is outside of digging the big hole, which people love to do, is we used to do this thing in New Jersey where there'd be like shitty little jellyfish in the water all the time, and in the moat you could go. Me and my brothers would get like the bucket, and then we'd get like jellyfish from the water, and we'd put it into the moat, which thinking back definitely killed them.
Yeah, no, I remember there being a lot more wildlife at the beach as a kid, and like I can't tell if this is because it was the East Coast and it was just like a different biome, or because of just general climate change and things getting worse, or because people like me kept catching crabs and trying to bring them home in buckets, and eventually somebody just was like, well, they're all gone now. We took them all. Like, not,
there used to
overfishing
be-
is bad and like encroachment and all that, but also what about children being like, I'm going to keep this crab as a pet and bring it home?
There used to be, I think the stat is that the average person used to see like 6,000 or 7,000 birds a day, and now it's like 4. You basically you'll never in 2025.
God, that's bleak.
I made that up. You'll not see more than 4 birds in one day. If you see more than 4 birds in one day, then it's good luck.
I was going to say I've seen more than 4 birds today. I don't think I've ever seen 6,000 or 7,000 birds at once.
You haven't?
At once?
Yeah.
I mean, how would I know? I don't know what 1,000 birds look like. Like, I don't know. I'm not. That's one of those things I can't gauge that. Like, I can like sort of do distance. Like within a certain. Like I could, if someone was like, how far away is, the thing at the end of the street? I'd be like, quarter mile. I don't know. But if somebody's like, how far is it from here to the other side of the room? I could probably get within 4 inches. I feel like I'm pretty good at like, guessing that kind of stuff. But if you were like, how many birds are over there? Shy of counting them, I don't know. Or if people are like, oh, this is a crowd of 100,000 people. I'd be like, wow. And it's like, no, that's 500 people. I'd be like, I don't know. I couldn't tell. Couldn't tell you.
Okay, here's a challenge. If I said you could only use stuff from a grocery store, how many birds could you catch in a day?
Oh, man.
Right?
Oh, wow. That's a good question.
Yeah, how many birds could you catch in a day?
I think realistically, using grocery store technology, I think I could catch maybe 3 birds.
3 birds?
Yeah. What kind of birds?
Just any birds that are where you are.
Okay, grocery store. Is it part of like a larger shopping complex that has like a fast food restaurant or like a Best Buy or anything like that?
No,
I feel like
you're describing other buildings.
Right. No, I'm saying, but is it like in the same shopping plaza or something?
Yeah, I mean, you can get the stuff from the grocery store, but you can catch them in the woods or the lake or whatever.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's ridiculous. I'm just thinking if I have to stay near the grocery store to have access to it.
Because I think if you parked right next to a beach and you left your car open and then you put all sorts of like crackers and sandwiches inside your car, you could probably catch at least 3 or 4 birds.
Yeah, totally. No,
I
I think seagulls, if I was going to try to catch birds using grocery store stuff, I think seagulls would be my go-to. And the reason I ask about the shopping center is I feel like you are more likely to see seagulls in a parking lot adjacent to like a Best Buy than you are at the beach. Sometimes you're like, oh, that's a seagull. And you're like, no, it's like a sandpiper or just like a white pigeon or something, like they but seagulls love parking lots.
I was also thinking like if you bought a big cooler from the grocery store and then you put like a bunch of potato chips and peanut butter and such in it, then you could probably close the lid, catch 1 or 2 like that.
I think that closing the lid would be the hard part. You'd have to basically make like a ghillie suit out of I don't know, lettuce or something. Like I don't.
Was that like a Biff Tannen thing? Like make like a ghillie suit and leave for whatever.
Make like a ghillie suit and disappear.
So I think I could catch six birds in a day.
You think you could catch 6 birds?
Yeah.
Well, one thing you could get at the grocery store to hold you over while you're out there trying to catch birds, or maybe you use it to catch the birds, is some breakfast pastries.
I agree. So I think we should let the audience know that we've said everything you could possibly say about Sandcastles.
We didn't even say that much about Sandcastles.
I mostly talked about holes in birds.
I have some really strong feelings about Sandcastles. I have some pretty controversial opinions, but we don't have time for that. We're just going to move on to breakfast pastries. What's your favorite breakfast pastry?
Really quick, I do want to say it is funny burying somebody up to their neck and then giving them boobs in sand.
Yes, that's always funny.
So I can't eat these things anymore because they disgust me. But
what?
I used to love toaster strudels.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant breakfast pastries in general. Yeah, no, toaster strudels are. Yeah.
I can't. I don't know if they got worse or I'm an adult now and I can't eat like children's clown food anymore. But toaster strudels were basically just like hey guys, you like Pop-Tarts? Well, this is even better. Like I think that was their whole campaign.
Yeah, no,
for a while, right?
they were like gentrified Pop-Tarts. They
Yeah.
were like bougie Pop-Tarts.
Yeah, it was bougie Pop-Tarts, and their thing was that you kept them in the freezer, and then you toasted them, but they also came with this like cream packet, and you put the cream on yourself, and the cream was always frozen too, and you would have to like massage. It was like almost like a ketchup packet size thing, but it was clear and it had white cream in it, and you would have to squeeze it and massage it and like pinch it and warm it up a little bit so you could cut off a little corner of it or rip it off and then make your own design on top. And they also had different flavors that like strawberry and stuff like that. And one of my favorite ones was they made a Boston cream toaster strudel that had, what is that Bavarian cream that they put in those donuts?
Boston cream?
Yeah, is it Boston cream?
Yeah, it's called Boston cream. It's Boston cream.
But is there like is there another name for it?
It's actually one word, Boston cream.
So yeah, that one came with a chocolate packet, and that was great. So you would toast this thing, and then
in Inception, how he like knows exactly what his totem feels like, or he like knows how much what that top feels like in his hands. I feel like I have that with a toaster strudel it's the frosting packet, like specifically when it's like half melted and it starts to just sort of turn into paste, like that feeling. But so does an entire generation of people, so that wouldn't be a good Inception totem. I would need like something more specific.
Why you really love breakfast pastries? You have the sweet tooth of like a little French boy.
I am a little French boy who's enormous, and my appetite is enormous too. And I need sweets in the morning. I need breakfast desserts. I love breakfast pastries. They're one of my like I don't know, kryptonites or whatever. They don't kill me. They're also real. I don't know what kryptonite does. But like they I just really love a good breakfast pastry. I love a good pain au chocolat, a nice chocolate croissant. I like a
we're getting into that?
Yeah, it's a pastry.
Okay, then fuck yeah, those
is that
are
a pastry?
amazing.
I don't know what a pastry is. So I probably should have done a little bit of research here.
I don't think a chocolate croissant. I don't think a croissant is a pastry.
Can I tell you some flat out insanity?
Yeah, okay.
I don't eat. Sometimes when I'm like, if I'm, go big or go home with breakfast pastries, if I'm like, you know what, if I'm going to fuck around and eat sweets first thing in the morning, I'm just going to have a cookie. And I go into Starbucks and I get a cookie at like 8 in the morning.
I think that's fine.
They look like they're going to call the cops,
It's not like you're turning them into like an egg and cheese sandwich or whatever. Like it's
that's
fine.
True. That would be pretty weird. But I don't know. That's the thing. Is a cookie. They'll have it at a bakery. They'll have it. It's there. You can have it in the morning. But that is not a breakfast pastry. However, there's really not any clear reasoning for that, because there's other things that are equally as sweet like as a cookie, like a bear claw, Danish chocolate croissant, like whatever that stuff is. All that stuff is as much of a dessert, if not more so.
It's a
like
it's a density thing, I think. I think that like it's the same reason like you can't wake up and eat like a biscuit, not like a biscuits and gravy biscuit, but like the like the cookie biscuits. And not like what British people...
the crunchy ones?
Yeah. That, like, I think... So, because you can wake up and you can have chocolate chip pancakes with syrup, right?
Interesting. So you need like a soft food in the morning.
Yeah, I think
That's
it's
what it
too...
needs to be.
Yeah, it's too early to be really crunching down on anything. Your teeth are just waking up. And
is that what it is? Actually, now that I think about it, like breakfast has a lot of soft things in it. It has a lot of soft food. Like you can get like a crunchy toast. Am I crazy? Is this? Do we just crack the code of breakfast?
I think we gently cracked it. I think we gently chewed through the code.
The crunchiest thing of breakfast is the egg shell, and they get rid of that. You don't eat that part.
Well, I put up like a couple years ago on Instagram. I put up a picture of like paleo chocolate chip banana pancakes or whatever, right? And somebody was like, "Those look like cookies," and I was like, thinking like that's preposterous. I would never have cookies for breakfast. And it's like, well, that you basically did. Right, it's the same thing. It's a circle with little chocolate chips in it that you.
I love
eat.
that, like the Cookie Crisp, like cereal. I guess cereal is breakfast food that's crunchy. Never mind. We didn't solve breakfast. Go home, everybody. It's not. It's still a mystery.
We did solve it because a fucking police officer literally had to show up to that box.
Cookies for breakfast.
Exactly.
I love that they just completely like this one cereal was just like. Nah, fuck it. This royalty-free entire like blanket term for a type of food. We're gonna go to war with that as a concept, but also we're gonna borrow from it and make it our own thing. But it's like nobody was saying like, I mean, I guess some mom is like, you can't have cookies for breakfast, and the cereal's like, yes, you can, because we made it. But also we're gonna like set it up like it's against the rules.
What's the actual like sort of canonical crime that's happening there? Is it that the guy keeps stealing the cookies, or that he's trying to have them for breakfast?
I think he's trying to have them for breakfast,
and the cop is stopping him.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, fucking defund the police, man. That's insane. That's fucking
Yeah.
insane. Like, that, imagine if they sent a cop to your house because you had a cookie at Starbucks.
See, that's what I think they're gonna do. Maybe that's why I feel so guilty, is because I was beaten into me by this breakfast propaganda about the cookie crisp. The other one is that's like rampantly ageist, is the whole like the taste only kids can see in Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Oh yeah, that they.
I guess also like it's like ableist too. Like it sucks to be. What if you're like a 40-year-old blind person who enjoys Cinnamon Toast Crunch and they're like, hey, fuck you, you can't enjoy it. Too bad.
That was like most advertising in the 90s was just like, your fucking idiot grandmother can't have this shit. She's too stupid. This is not her oat bran or whatever. Like
You know that thing how like there's like they get like teenage Japanese girls to like gauge the color of pearls because their eyesight is of a certain acuity. Like their color acuity is better than like you lose certain, in the same way like you gradually grow deaf and you lose certain frequencies you can hear.
I didn't know that at all.
Yeah, no, it's a thing. They have like they'll get specifically like girls of a certain age and they're like they're gonna separate the pearls by color, and anybody else is like they're all white, and it's like no. These are slightly different shades of white, and they sort it out, and it's a whole thing.
Wow. Yeah, that's nuts. I bet you they would be really good at getting birds.
Probably good at catching birds. I don't know why you would make that assumption, but
well, they have
if they have
good vision, they could see the birds hiding in the trees and the bushes and such.
What birds are that camouflaged? I don't think you'd need that much color acuity to. I think there's animals that see black and white that can catch birds just fine. That's a strange.
Ghillie birds.
Ghillie birds. All right. All right.
You've never seen ghillie gulls down by the beach?
Ghillie gulls.
Yeah, they're camouflaged, colored seagulls.
That would be cool as hell if seagulls figured out how to do camouflage and they just covered themselves in trash and shit.
Birds don't really do that a lot.
You'd be like, there's so much litter, and then the litter just flies away, and you're like, oh, it was a bird the whole time.
I saw a fucking awesome picture today of a pelican that ate a snake and was flying, and the snake chewed its way out of the pelican's stomach, and this photographer got this picture. Like,
are you sure that was a photograph and not a really sick military insignia?
It could have been. It didn't look
some like special ops group that was like the Screaming Pelicans or something.
It was like too weird to be like faked. It just looked like, but also like the pelican's face. He looked like he didn't know it had happened. Like
that's
he was
pelicans in general.
Yeah, I don't really see. I don't know if they can frown or be like, there's a snake coming out of my stomach.
Pelicans they're a strange one.
You know what he should have eaten is a breakfast pastry, because I've never had one of those fucking shoot out of my stomach like a fucking xenomorph.
What's the king of the breakfast pastries, or queen, whatever?
I think it's
the monarch.
What do you call, what's the chocolate one? The regular one that has like is it like a block of chocolate they put in there?
What are you talking? Are you specifically referring to like Danishes or whatever? Or
I know, I don't think it's Danish. It's very French. Like it's a very French thing. And it's just like it's shaped like, I don't even know, what is that shape? It's sort of shaped like, it's like the size of like a Game Boy Advance, and it's like kind of flaky.
Croissant with chocolate in it?
Yeah, but it's not like, it is a croissant, but it's not. You know what I'm saying? It's not. It doesn't have the boomerang shape.
Pain chocolat. It's the same. It's the same dough, but they fold it over.
So with that one, with that one, is it like a block of chocolate they put in there and it just melts? Because sometimes when you get it, it's like not fully melty, and it's got like a sort of square.
Dude, the distribution of chocolate in those things is always a gamble, and
it's chaos.
It always comes like leaking out the sides a little bit, and you're like, this will be fine. And then sometimes you bite in, and there's just like a single Twix bar in the middle, basically, and you're like, why is this here? And other times, you get in there, and it's all. The best places, really good bakeries, what they do is they put Nutella and some chocolate in there, and it just gets it's a mess inside. It's great.
What's your stance on muffins at breakfast?
Well, we haven't brought them up yet, so I think that says a lot. I think muffins are fine, but I don't consider I'll fuck with a muffin. I like a blueberry muffin when they put the little crunchy sugar on top. I think that's good.
I like them sometimes, but I don't like when the walnuts are soft.
I also don't like that. That approach is like that's like sweet water chestnuts. That's like that texture thing.
I don't know if I like them when they're hard either, actually.
I don't think I want nuts in muffins now that I think about it. I think they're too hard in relation to what the muffin is doing,
Muffins are weird because I don't know if I want them at breakfast, and then I don't know when I would want them after that. Like I'm never really like, oh man, I had a nice lunch, but I'm still a little hungry. I think I'm going to have a banana walnut muffin.
That's a good point.
Yeah, I think they're like
a good like Sunday afternoon snack, maybe,
Sure. Yeah.
You know, like you're between meals. I mean, again, this is also like a very like child diet kind of thing. Like I'll get my kid a muffin if she's like being crabby.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's sort of like the unknown secret that a lot of people don't really get is that when you have a kid, they want that crap all the time, and you only want it a little bit, so you can like dad tax. I always say that. Like I'll like my kid will get a cookie, and I'm like, I'm taking a little piece of that. I don't want a whole cookie. I don't want a whole ice cream. I just want a little bit of that, and then I want to move on with my day.
Muffins are an investment. Like they're huge. They're too.
And
I think
messy?
they're yeah. Also, like they don't like you're gonna start eating a muffin. If you eat the top of the muffin, you've got this weird soft ball thing that's maybe in the paper wrapper. If you unwrap the whole thing, they just crumble.
Yep.
You can't just like cut it in half. That's not a thing.
Mm-hmm.
They're not. But like also they're big enough where you're like maybe I'll eat half of this now, and then you like have just like a bag of crumbs you carry around with you.
Yeah,
so
it's
maybe that's a
fucking
good
weird.
way to catch birds. Maybe you're right. Maybe you're onto something there.
If you eat
I was
it while
gonna
you're
bring up,
driving, you could catch birds.
that's
Open
true.
the sunroof.
And if you're driving and you're in the woods, you can throw the breadcrumbs out the back, and then you can find your way back from the witch's house.
Mm-hmm. That's the fastest way to find it.
Hansel and Gretel had a car. That's what they would do probably. And
That
get
did-
fined for littering.
That didn't work for them, right? Because of the birds. Did the breadcrumb trail thing work for them?
I thought
forget.
they used rocks or something.
They use
Didn't they
shiny
find-
pebbles, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good book. That's a good. It's a
Not
good
for
story.
them. Not for the kids.
No. I was stoked because my kid came home from school and was just like, yeah, we read a book about a woman eating. She had a house made of candy and she ate a boy, and we're like, I was like,
Yeah.
that's true, and they're just going for it. They're just like, I feel like that if it were a story that got carted out today, they would be like TV-14. You know, suggestive themes and problematic dialogue or whatever. You'd be like, you need a disclaimer on that, but it's just like sitting there in so many kids' books where it's like, yeah, and then the woman who lived in the house made of candy did cannibalism.
I think they went in the woods to begin with because their mom died, and then the husband remarried. Their dad married like an evil stepmother, which
and she was like, go kill them.
Yeah.
Like there's multiple cannibals in that story. I think I forget if they were just like they're too much to feed, go kill them, or she's like go butcher them so we can eat the children, and then they're like we'll run away, and then like another woman's like I'll eat the children, eat your house, you bat.
Well, one way to get through to cut through a candy house would be a pocket knife. That's a good thing to have.
So you like pocket knives?
I think I like pocket knives. I mean, the thing is, when I think of pocket knives, the first thing I think of is the guy in the back of the car in Texas Chainsaw Massacre,
Okay,
who just like cuts that guy's arm and cuts himself and shit. Like
He's just got like I got a one knife.
Yeah,
I think there's
guys like head cheese. My brother makes it real good. Yeah, it's
that's not a great spokesman for pocket knives. I would
No,
say
probably
that's
the worst.
Yeah.
who
I don't know.
is the best spokesman for pocket knives?
Probably Hank Hill.
Okay, that's a good call. Yeah,
There's like I don't know. There's an episode where he substitute teaches or something, and he pulls out like a Leatherman, and all the kids are like, "Whoa, a switchblade!" And he's like, "No, it's a Leatherman. It's good for fixing things." And it's like a little. So when I say pocket knife, I mean like a kind of blanket term for it can be just a knife, or it can be a Swiss Army knife, or it can be a whole ass Leatherman. It's just one of those little There's that whole like I don't know what you'd call it, like a scene or like a hobbyist thing, but the whole like everyday carry people who are like.
You're not. I don't think you're one of those people, but I will say I've known you for a long time, and I sat next to you at work for a long time where we would get packages, and you were always so excited to get to use your pocket knife. You could see a little like there was a little just hop and a step. You would do a thing where you would get an Amazon package and you would either punch through the top of it like Kratos opens treasure chests, or you would reach in your pocket and you'd pull out this knife real quick in this quick animation and just be like whoosh, 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 whoosh. And it's funny because you don't need that to open an Amazon package at all, right?
You look like you're gonna give your brother a dead arm and you just punch your knuckle through the seam there. Yeah.
No, you're a pocket knife guy. You're a big fan.
I don't know when that started. I think my brother has given me most of my bladed weaponry or whatever. But at some point he was like, "Yeah, here's a good knife," and I was like, "Oh," and like I don't know. I had a Swiss Army knife as a kid. I really wanted one, and then
Me too.
It sucks as a kid because like. Where are you going to take that? You're going to go out in the woods by yourself with it, and like you're with a grown up probably. You can't take it to school or you get expelled. Like there's
you don't need a corkscrew for like the first 20 years of your life, and even then, you're not like turning 21 and being like, all right, time to open up some wine.
Yeah,
you know?
no, I don't know. Like a Swiss Army knife's a good thing to have, a little Leatherman. But I'm like a weird like, I don't know. I mostly just carry like a regular knife. Like I just have like what I realize is I need like a happy medium. There's really only 3 things that I'm regularly like, oh, I need this, and it's like some kind of a blade, for opening packages, or just for like cutting. It's generally packaging, I guess. If it's like if I get my kid a toy and it's locked behind a bunch of zip ties and bullshit.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Or just like I don't know. Like I don't know. I do use a pocket knife regularly for like just various tasks and things. Like
My wife always gets mad at me because I don't have a pocket knife, and I will use our good kitchen cutlery, which like I mostly, because I do most of the cooking, to like remove. Like I went to the Nintendo store in San Francisco the other day that just opened up, and I got these
you brought a bunch of your good knives.
No, definitely not. Although there's probably a lot of people with knives in the general vicinity there, because that's just there's a lot of people there that just like love to be like haha and pull out a knife. But I got like this Mario statue and this Link statue, and I brought them back. And this morning at like 6:30 in the morning, on like 5 hours of sleep, my kid was like, open them up. And I was like, oh, I don't have a thing to do. So I went and grabbed like one of those, like, what do you call the little knife that you have in the night block that's really sharp?
Oh, paring knife?
It's like a paring knife, yeah. So I went and grabbed that, and like on 4 espressos and no food, I was just like slicing this thing open and just almost cut my finger off. My wife comes in and she's like, don't use our food knives for your toy bullshit. And I'm like, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
But I don't have a pocket knife, so maybe I should fix that.
Yeah.
Do you remember? Do you remember when you first got one?
I mean, the first one I got was a Swiss Army knife. It was for Christmas when I was in 3rd grade, I think, and I was like, oh, cool. And it was like it wound up getting no use for any reason, and I think I held onto it for a surprisingly long time. And then I probably bought I probably had some like stupid knife that I bought at when I was like old enough to be like a bad kid and have a knife on me or something, and I would do that. But then like when I was probably like, I want to say like 27 or 28. I think I had like my brother got me like a good knife, like a good like everyday carry kind of thing. And I remember being really surprised because like I don't think it's weird for someone to carry a knife. Like I think it's a very I feel like a bunch of our British listeners just fell out of their chairs and just like whoa, because obviously we're in a country where there are regularly gunfights, so I feel like having a knife is like you're not even trying to compete in that front. It's just there
should be some sort of saying about that. Yeah. About people bringing a knife to like
what should you bring to a gunfight? Like should you get like a box of pastries or something? Or like,
I mean a pie would be fun.
Yeah. That would be cool if 2 people are about to like do like a duel with pistols, and you show up and you're like, hold on guys, I got the pie, and everyone's like, oh well, let's put the duel on hold. What kind is it? And you're like, boysenberry. They're like, what's the difference between like a boysenberry and a blackberry? And you get in a whole like debate about someone's got to pull out their phone and look it up, and no one shoots each other. That would be cool. Anyway, yeah, I had like a good pocket knife, and I got it for probably Christmas or my birthday or something, and I remember like pulling it out, and this is when I was at Revision 3, and pulling it out, and my colleague Zach was like aghast, and he was like he was kind of like a frequently he was also the kind of person who would just be like overly offended to fuck with you. Like he gave me a bunch of shit because I ordered a Bloody Mary at like nighttime one time, and he's like, that's a breakfast drink, what are you doing? And like it was a whole thing. And again, now I'm like, I think of that every time I don't have a Bloody Mary at night. But no, I pull out this knife, and I was like, again, probably to open an Amazon package or an envelope or something stupid, and he was like, whoa, and I was like, for a second I was like, is it illegal to have this? Like, I don't actually know. I don't think about it. And it's like, it comes down to,
I feel like it is in some
it
places.
depends on the blade length. I think if it's like less than 4 inches or something, it's
then
fine.
It's okay. But you can't bring them on airplanes.
No, definitely
Have you ever had to give a knife to TSA?
Oh yeah, a bunch of times.
Yeah,
the weird thing though is I've like had them in my backpack, like that's a thing that I'll throw, like if I'm at the beach and I'm like, I don't want my shit to fall out of my pockets, I'll be like, oh, I'll just put it in like the little zipper thing on my backpack, and then inevitably forget about it. I definitely brought a pocket knife. I think I was on like 3 flights with it, and then it was coming back from somewhere that they were like, what's the idea of this? And I was like, I don't know, what's the idea of you guys not catching it the first 3 times I flew with it by accident? I didn't even realize it was in there. But yeah, no, usually I just leave it at home. If I'm going someplace, actually, no, I don't even bother. Like some people I know, like we work with people who are in, video production, who do like crew stuff and need to, cut zip ties and twist wires and shit, and they'll check a bag just so they can have a Leatherman on them, which I think is incredibly admirable and also completely understandable. But my stupid thing is just like a regular ass little pocket knife for opening things. I realize though that like the thing that I find myself needing the most in terms of tools is a screwdriver and a bottle opener more often than I need a knife. And so I've tracked down one that I actually really like. I need to get another one because it disappeared. One thing I'm really good at is losing pocket knives, and I'll just I'll lose one, and I'm just kind of at peace with it. I try not to get like really nice ones, and then it'll turn up, 18 months later at my friend Tyler's house, and he found it in his couch or whatever, and I'll be like, "Hey, man, cool!" And it's like sort
his
of
kids holding it.
It's like micro Christmas, yeah. But
but
no, I had one that it had a knife, it had a blade on it, it had a bottle opener, and then it had it would pop out like a knife, but it was a modular screwdriver bit, so you could take like a little.
That's cool.
Like I think it actually had like flathead and Phillips head. You could like flip it over, and it was just like it was everything I would need. Because the thing I realized since we were kids is they started putting screws in the battery compartments for toys, which wasn't a thing when we were kids. I don't think. Like when you were a kid and you got like an electronic X-wing toy or whatever.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, that's weird. I wonder if they did that because like kids were going in there and like licking the batteries and shit like that.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Like, yeah,
it's just I don't know. Batteries are a whole issue.
No, but you said you got a pocket knife when you were in 3rd grade, which I think is like nowadays. I think people would think that's crazy. Like that's my kid's gonna start 2nd grade in a few months, and like I don't think she's like a year and 2 months away from having a pocket knife. Like, and I don't want to say that in the 80s and 90s, like pocket knives were basically in Happy Meals, but like they were pretty close. Like I think we were just generally more lax.
People would go, they're like, hey, go be a Boy Scout. I mean, there's that whole Simpsons episode about it where Bart wants to get the pocket knife, and like I definitely cut myself numerous times, and I just remember being like, oh no, but then also like not making a big deal about it because it was my dumb fault and I didn't want to lose my knife. I just remembered we had a Christmas ornament for ages that I think I made the second I got a pocket knife, and it was basically the ugliest fucking icicle you can imagine, made out of balsa wood, unpainted. And I just was like, "Oh boy, a pocket knife! Time to make a Christmas ornament."
And you whittled
for my mummy as a thank you. And I just took this chunk of wood and whittled down the ugly. It just looks like a prison shank. It's god awful. And then I carved Noel into it. Like a good little French boy.
Oh my god!
And then I think I wrote on it with a red pen or something. So it just looks like a threat. Like it looks like a prison weapon with like something written in blood on it. Like it's a god awful thing. And we held onto it for ages. I like had it in our hand me down Christmas ornament box, whatever. Yeah. So that's a valid use of a pocket knife as a child.
Like, balsa wood, you could have done that with a butter knife, basically.
Probably, yeah.
It would have been just as shitty. I don't own a pocket knife anymore, but I have a bunch of like those, like they're not X-Acto blades, but you know what I'm talking about? It's
the extendable breakable ones.
I think so, yeah.
The one that's like the box cutter that the Evangelion has, right?
Yeah.
The AV Unit 1, it's the progressive knife.
Yeah, so I have a regular X-Acto blade, which is just like a pen shaped and just has a little blade on top. Then I have the retractable one, but then I have ones that act like that, that I've bought or like handymen or carpenters have left at my house or apartment.
Oh, you're talking like a box cutter?
Yeah, it's like a box cutter.
The heavy metal handle, and you like push the thing down to slide out a little triangular blade.
Yeah, but these are the ones that flip out and have a triangular blade. You know what I'm talking about? So
but it's still got like a replaceable blade in there.
Yeah. So it's pocket knife adjacent, but you don't have to like sharpen it. And I don't know where those sit in the sort of pantheon.
Those are weird. They make sense because like the whole point of having a replaceable blade is like blades get really dull, and like I mean generally when I have a pocket knife, it's like probably bordering on butter knife. Like I'll try to sharpen it once in a while, but it's like it's not like a razor sharp thing, but. I don't know, some people who maybe need that, they do make a bunch of pocket knives where it's like a folding thing that you put an X-Acto blade into, or it's like a, heavy duty tactical aluminum frame that you put a 10-cent Home Depot box cutter utility knife blade into. And then the second it gets dull, you scrap it and get a new one or whatever.
Yeah, that's a good time.
I don't know what you call those. They're weird. I think that is I would be more alarmed if somebody had one of those on them than a regular knife.
Me too. Me too. Because that seems, I don't not. It's not. It's not like it. It's not like having a pocket knife is like a premeditated thing, but it seems like if somebody has one of those on them, like it's like that is very specifically for like that's your like tool shed or like like you do that like in a controlled environment. And so having one of those like out in the wild, I'm kind of like, oh, he's gonna do like a spontaneous stabbing,
I just my stepmom told me the story about her sister who was like a stand-up comedian in Chicago in the 70s or 80s or something, and she would like play late shows at like random ass nightclubs and would get off work at like 2 a.m. and then would have to like get home, and her solution was to just carry a hammer, and she would just like walk down the street like swinging a hammer around on like a little string. And people would be like, that is the craziest person I've ever seen. Like, people would be like, do not mess with that woman. And there's nothing illegal about carrying a hammer around, like it's...
No, but I mean, like a fucking stand-up comedian that carries a hammer on a string is a fucking like Image Comics #1 from the 90s.
Oh, yeah.
Like that is that is totally like some weird obtuse villain in a that makes no sense, but it does make sense.
It's gnarly, but it's funny though, because it's like there's all these regulations about certain things where like the knife can't be over a certain size. Can I carry on a hammer? Yeah,
sure.
Probably. They make pants with hammer holders on them. They got those like carpenter jeans with like the belt loop in it. Like,
yeah, they're called hammer pants.
Hammer pants. Those are different from hammer pants. Hammer pants have like they've got a whole bandolier of screwdriver pockets at the bottom.
What? No, they don't.
Yeah, they do.
The MC Hammer's pants?
Yeah, if you go inside his pants, they all flap around on the top, but they're like kind of like tied on the bottom.
How does all the air get in there then to circulate, to move around?
It's parachute fabric, but they were originally worn by airplane mechanics, and they have an entire thing of like little small screwdrivers in there if they need to get I'm completely fucking with you. Sometimes your brain just spills out, and I'm just like, yeah, shit. I mean, I think I had you convinced that the average person used to see 4,000 birds a day, which is completely insane. What do you mean average person, and what do you mean used to? Because I feel like there was a point where passenger pigeons would block out the sun, and then the passenger pigeon went extinct because people would just go outside and throw a bag in the air and catch like 9 birds and then go home and eat them and make hats out of them and stuff. Like that was the whole thing. People probably did used to see 4,000 to 5,000 birds a day, man. I don't know.
We have killed a lot of birds through recklessness and climate change, but a lot of them also did kill themselves. And I don't like. This is the thing. And I know it's stupid to bring up, but like, climate change didn't kill the dodo bird. We'll take responsibility for everything, but it's like when they have a guy who's like on death row for like 17 murders, and he's like, yeah, I did that one, and they try to put an extra one on him, and he's like, I didn't do that one. Like that's how it feels talking about the dodo bird. We killed so many birds just being alive on planet Earth, but not that dude, right?
No, man, we killed the shitload of those guys. The reason they went extinct is because people were like, check this out, you can kill these birds, they don't even know what's going on. People would just like get off boats and go like punch the dodos in the face and like eat them. I don't think they were even good to eat. Because, like, if they were good to eat, people might have been like, oh, let's try to domesticate them or something. People were just like, this bird's dumb as shit. Let's kill it. And it was, like, just cruel and weird.
Would you, if you had a time machine, would you try one?
I would 100% eat a dodo bird.
I would eat the dodo bird.
If I had a time machine, I think I would have bigger issues than the moral ramifications of whether or not I ate endangered species.
Yeah. Okay. So you would go back in time, kill Hitler, spatchcock a dodo bird. Tell people about a couple of other things they should watch out for, and then
if you go back in time and eat Hitler, are you a bad guy? Yeah, makes you think, huh? It's a real moral quandary. If you use cannibalism for good, are you an anti-hero? Like, what is the?
I don't think you would want, like, you are what you eat, right?
He was vegetarian though, so I don't know. Of all the tyrants you could go back in time and eat, I don't like where this went. There are multiple restaurants that are named after Genghis Khan, like Mongolian barbecue, and I'm just like, they could. I know he's like probably the most famous Mongolian dude, but like, is that really the best person to align yourself with?
We used to go to Mussolini's Pizza all the time growing up. You brought it there, by the way, not me.
You know, sometimes, look, we're fucking tired, man. It's been a day and a night, and etc.
We're like, you like pocket knives? How would you eat dodo? Would dry Brian spatchcock? Would you eat it?
Anyway, thank you to anybody who stuck with us this long. If you haven't checked it out yet, head over to our Patreon, patreon.com/thisthingrules. You can also find us on all the various and sundry social media networks, even the bad ones. And huge thanks to Cozy Bear, who's been kind of running things over there, and my good pal Hamza, who's been also helping with stuff behind the scenes. We're trying to make this show grow. You know, it's hard. It's hard to find time in the margins of the other stuff we do, but we have a good time doing it, and I hope nobody minded that we talked about 3 very disparate things completely sporadically with little to no research. It was a good time.
Yeah, we should do it again with 3 other things someday.
Yeah, three other things. None of these things is not like the other. All right.
Thank you.
And now it's the part of the show where I thank our extra special Patreon producers, Chip Chunkling, Scott Davis, Ben Burkhalter, Paul Atienza, Kevin Lemasurier, Steve Cam, Caleb Hilliard, and Billy McKendry. Thanks a bunch, fellas.
Nick, give him your wallet.
What for?
He's got a knife.
That's not a knife. That's a knife.